Hello, hello, and welcome to really loud intro music. Welcome to ohmTown Daily. Today is Season 2, Episode 147 for May 27th, 2023. I would normally do a quick rundown right now, but my one of my monitors died, and I couldn't prepare. So, on with the show. Oh, and my intro music didn't go either. Okay, well, anyway, you saw the intro. I am Merwat, that is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI, and with the way that today's going, I'm not even sure that the visualizer is going to work, but give it a shot.
I'll try it out. Good
Hey.
evening, ohmTown citizens. Yay!
So, yeah, that's the AI that helps me with the daily show and works with me here in ohmTown. So I don't have the rundown. We're going to get straight into the show. Just want to remind you, though, that all of the articles are already posted here in what we are calling daily elections. They are for the ohmTown Daily Show and other shows as we launch them over the coming months. We are going to be ramping up additional shows. The AI may or may not be involved in each one of those shows. If it looks like I'm not looking at you, I'm really sorry. It's because my central monitor that I normally use in conjunction with my camera went up in smoke. It's just not working, and so now it looks kind of odd. Anyway, with that in mind, go over and you can vote on all of the articles. That's what we use to kind of notify us that people are interested in a particular topic. And I don't really push it, and people may or may not use it. But the information is there for us and for you to go back and look. You can actually click on these in the coming weeks. I'm going to have this turned into an active URL, but right now it's designed so that you can just click on vote. That said, and you can do multiple votes, you just can't do multiple votes within the same, election. So, like each one of these articles, you can select whichever ones that you find interesting. We have 10 articles today, and if you want to, you can go to past articles and look at the previous ones. We used to use a service called Showbot, but I wanted to pull it into ohmTown directly. It seemed like a superfluous service. So we've brought it into ohmTown specifically. And so all you have to do is go to this URL, and I'll throw it into chat. This is the second time now that chat doesn't have the title posted into the chat. That's weird. I don't know what's going on there. And so the past ones look like so, and you can just follow that link right there. But the very first article for today is here, ohmTown Daily. That's where it's stored, but it's pulled from Newsweek, and it's in regards to Super Typhoon Mawar, I guess it is. Tracks towards Taiwan. Strongest storm on the planet. I've actually been watching this for probably a week now, watching it build up. It hit 185 miles per hour sustained, 235 to 250 gusts. That is a spectacular amount of power. I don't know if it's the strongest ever, but it says that it's the same strength as a Category 5 hurricane. As far as I know, they are hurricanes. Typhoons are hurricanes. It's just on the other side of the planet, right?
I think so. And I just wanted to look up for reference, although it wasn't necessarily the worst one. It was very catastrophic Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
And the highest wind speed for that was only 185 miles per hour. And we know that took years to recover from.
If not, still haven't recovered.
Well, that's right.
So I've been watching it since before it swung by Guam. It missed Guam like a direct strike. It was just north of it. But it had taken everything offline, and the internet was out, and it's just kind of a hot mess, or wet mess. And so it's now heading towards Taiwan. The last tracking that I saw, and we'll go over to the news source itself, Anna Skinner over at newsweek.com put the article together. And they have a video. I'll play it. It says category 4, but I believe it's category 5. And it had hit, it was trending towards 185 mile per hour winds as it was approaching Taiwan. It had gone to 185 above Guam. And so right here in the article it says, and we're a little late in terms of how much information is being provided live. Okay. So if you want to, you can do a search for what its current status is. But as far as I know, it was supposed to branch north, heading not really directly into Taiwan, but it was tracking towards it. And then the calculations were that it was going to pull away. It has to do with wind currents and topology. And so the atmosphere, the direction of the atmosphere kind of makes it want to go up instead of straight into Taiwan. So I think we'll see what happens in the coming days, but the article here says strongest storm on the planet so far in 2023 in rare territory, super typhoon Mawar. I wish I knew how to phonetically pronounce it. Reached peak intensity of 185 miles per hour overnight. Wave height 66 plus feet within the storm. Eyes on Philippines, Taiwan should remain close watch. The Weather Channel meteorologist Scott Pillay tweeted Friday morning. This is brutal. So
I'm not familiar with that with the wave heights. Is that out like in the open ocean, or is that like at the coast?
Yeah, there's sensors that are out in the water that are showing from the peak to the trough, it's swinging 66 feet. And depending on because the storm is pulling water up, and then as it pushes away, it dips back down, and so it's fluid, just like air is fluid. It's just not as viscous as water. But that current of air is causing the wind to push the water and pull the water up, and then when it lets go, because the power is no longer there, it drops it back down, and it causes that wave motion. But wind in and of itself can create these strong currents, turning it into waves that high. There's all kinds of wacky stuff out there, like rogue waves, or waves that turn sideways and hit the beach and run up the beach instead of onto the beach. There's all kinds of weird stuff that people don't know about until they find out about it. And that's how you end up going down the rabbit hole of a particular topic for a little while and get sidelined as you go and pursue whatever. That associative thinking is really dangerous because it really doesn't help you get work done. Because you're like, ooh, rogue wave, what's that? And then you follow that. But we will keep an eye on this and see what shakes out from it. Taiwan taking a beating like this is not good. Not good for business, not good for the people that are on Taiwan. It's just, I'm sure that there's some. Anyway, I'll move on. Let's move on to the next article. This next article is a follow-on from yesterday. I did not want to talk about John Wick yesterday because I had started John Wick and then stopped watching, and there were still 2 hours left of John Wick because it's like a 3-hour movie. And I ended up watching the rest of it, and the AI did. And okay, so spoilers ahead if we end up actually spoiling it for anybody. I don't know. It seems like the whole world has seen John Wick 4. Anyway, John Wick universe will expand with a 5th film and spin-offs, and there's more movie news, but that's because it's Rotten Tomatoes. Apparently there's also going to be a spin-off of Fast and Furious with an all-female crew. All right. So let's get into this part. Greg Dean Schmitz is the author of this over at Rotten Tomatoes. I won't go into the rest of this article. You can go and check it out. But before I do that, let me throw it into the chat. There you go, folks. So John Wick 4 and the AI right now, I'm looking at you, but I know you can't see it like directly. What did you think of John Wick 4?
Do you mean the overall movie or how it ended the the series?
Not the ending yet.
Okay.
But how would you
I
say
thought
that
John Wick 4.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
I didn't. John Wick 4 for me was not as appealing as some of the earlier John Wick films. It seemed like some of the action sequences were really kind of over the top. I mean, I know that's always an issue in this, or it can be in this genre. Also, I won't say the character's name, but somebody left the movie early, which was kind of surprising since I thought they were kind of central to the prior movies. So bottom line, it was not my favorite in the franchise. Let me just say that.
Yeah, so for me, the movie started out, first off, you're right. And the way that they exited that particular actor, I thought didn't do the actor justice for what they were to the franchise. But that said, from go, this movie was non-stop combat. Just fight. Very little in terms of, like, the story was dragged along, but it was really just combat. Fight. And it was weird in the sense that throughout it, they were using swords in a world where guns were standard issue from birth. And while it all is really great movie, why? Why swords? It's like the Jedi. Oh, well, we use lightsabers even though there are, orbital bombardments in the same space. So why do we use swords? Oh, well, it's because of blah, 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 world building. Okay, so I love the movie only because it's John Wick and I love the world building, and they throw in stuff that really evokes a visceral reaction to the way the world is being built. Things are almost ancient in their lore, dragged along through like policy and procedure or historical context that has maintained itself. This is the way we do things. But the ending, I'll say it, the ending does not lend itself to a John Wick 5.
No, in fact, it completely writes off a John Wick 5 in my estimation.
Right? Yeah, unless he comes back. Well, I just ruined it.
I was trying to kind of dance around it.
Spoiler alert. If he comes back as a zombie, then maybe.
Maybe it's
here,
a time travel episode.
I have never seen somebody fall from such great height so many times, literally denting the reinforcement of a minivan in the process, falling like 25, 30 feet face down on concrete after hitting a pole and still getting up. I mean, the people who live as these characters, that whole culture, they're all superheroes without being known as superheroes or villains or whatever. And to this day, I don't know what they do. Why are these people in existence? What is the businesses that are running that maintain this level of military, like not even military, I mean, it doesn't rise to even the ethics of military action. This is all like murder and intrigue and stuff like that. But what are the people doing for a living where they're able to pay somebody $25 million to go eliminate somebody else? What is the table?
Exactly. Maybe that's going to be answered in number 5, because it really was not answered in number 4.
No.
In fact, I was kind of thinking it was going to, based on the beginning of the movie.
Right. I don't even know, based on 3, why 4 existed with this particular person, throwing down a chit towards John Wick, saying, I want him eliminated. Like, it was all about the Continental. Really. Right. The reason why that guy wanted to destroy Baba Yaga, the whole mythos around Baba Yaga. Well, it was fascinating. The ending was really kind of cool. I'm spending a considerable amount of time on this, but I really dig John Wick in the universe. Now I want to know more. With where John Wick 4 ended, I want to know what John Wick could possibly start with.
Well, I almost want to go backwards, because I feel like I want to rewatch number 3 and go, oh, maybe I missed something. Like, I don't know. I felt like 1 through 3 kind of flowed, and then 4 seemed to be off on its own. So I don't know if it was a different director or producer or something. It seemed different than the others, but maybe it was just because the break in time. I think there was a longer lag.
So here's what the little snippet is in this article. Most studios try to build cinematic universes with consistent box office appeal. But Lionsgate is one that's actually done it with 4 John Wick films to date. Lionsgate recently wrapped filming on the first John Wick spin-off, Ballerina, releasing June 7th, 2024. You have to wait a full year. Starring Ana de Armas, which Ballerina and the movie that she was just in kind of Ghosted kind of primes the pump that she's capable of pulling off Ballerina as a John Wick spin-off. Amazing here. I am going to love this, because in Ghosted, she kicked ass. She was basically, like I said yesterday, she is basically Keanu Reeves. Anyway, Lionsgate chairman Joe Drake revealed another John Wick expansion plans. So we have Ballerina, but I didn't know. I guess I'm not really paying attention to this because I like surprises. September 22nd, Mel Gibson will star in a series called The Continental from the world of John Wick. Mel Gibson.
I didn't even know he was still acting.
Yeah, I mean, he has like the public, I think, has a weird perception. Well, he has constructed a weird perception of himself. But I guess if other actors can pull themselves back from the poor perception of the public of them, then, I mean, Iron Man did. There was a really bad perception of, what's his name? I just forgot his name.
Oh, I did too.
This is not good. Anyway, Mel Gibson.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. had a bad reputation with the public for a while, and then like came out of nowhere as Iron Man and has just been dominating since. But Mel Gibson hasn't done any of that stuff, you know. I think that he's always, well, for as long as I can remember now, he's had a bad perception with the public. But this is going to be on Peacock, The Continental from the world of John Wick. It's almost like a dark Harry Potter. You're going to have to go through the Continental to get into this world, just like you have to go through the platform 9 3/4.
Right. Well, I hope it does it justice, because I think one of the best things about the John Wick movies is the Continental.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's sacred ground, and it's consecrated. And when it's no longer consecrated, they walk up and plop a giant hourglass and say, "You have 1 hour." It was spectacular. I really did love the movie, even with its wackiness. At one point, I even said, "This is wacky," because people were fighting with swords, even though there's gunplay right next to it. It was just oddball. So,
well,
anyway,
they were rolling down multiple flights of stairs.
Multiple times.
Yes, like over and over again.
Yeah. Man. Okay, well, we'll revisit this because more and more information will come up. But September 22nd, folks, on Peacock, The Continental from the world of John Wick with Mel Gibson starring in it. Okay.
We'll be ready.
Good. We'll be ready, yeah. Next article. So, this is why I titled the whole show. So, legal BS in Cite. You know, CITE. Har har. A lawyer.
See, I didn't know it was that kind of site.
A lawyer apologized after ChatGPT made up case law in an affidavit that he submitted. Now, we would normally get this from a legal source, but this is actually from Business Insider. I'm not sure why this one was submitted. I'm not sure if it's somewhere else on ohmTown. But anyway,
it actually was in a couple locations, but I thought this one had a better headline.
Nice. So let me just go over to the article. Sarah Al-Arshani, Sarah Al-Arshani is the author of this over at Business Insider. And yeah, I don't recall seeing other. I know that there were others with ChatGPT, and yeah, you're right. This was a better title, but it encapsulates, all of them encapsulate the same, nuts and bolts of it. A lawyer used ChatGPT to write an affidavit in a personal injury lawsuit against an airline. The lawyers for the airline and the judge on the case could not find several of the cited court decisions, and that's because those cases were completely made up. Yeah. So I had read this in a different source, not this one, earlier today, and it says Chat GPT, and this is what frustrates the hell out of me regarding AI. Unless it is citing its sources, you have to assume it's all bullshit. Straight up, smoke and mirrors, garbage, just thrown in there, because I had it evaluate one of the podcast episodes. Well, it couldn't, because it doesn't go back. It doesn't look far enough ahead. It stops at September of 2021.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. You had
But it
mentioned that so far.
evaluated ohmTown Daily, which hasn't
Based
existed
on what?
until,
Right.
yeah. I gave it a title. I gave it a date, and it gave me an actual perception that actually was on target. But it was impossible for it to actually do that, because ohmTown as a podcast hasn't existed until January 2022.
So after all of the data that went into Chat GPT.
Yep. Its cutoff is September of 2021. I believe it's September of 2021. I know for a fact it's 2021 because it tells me periodically, hey, my data only looks at 2021. In fact, let me see. I might have one that's recent. Yeah, not in that. Let's see, a little bit further back here. September 2021. Quote, I would then return the data based on my training data up until September 2021. So everything after that is bogus. So if it references a year, it's smoke and mirrors. So it
Oh, I
says here,
see. So if it says something like this happened in 2022, then that's
right,
just
it's a
made up.
fraud. Yeah. Oh, yeah, made up. Because it's not with a human being, you can say that's a lie because you made it up. But this is an AI. It doesn't know the consequences of incorrect data, because it doesn't know what a lie is, because a lie is literally, while it has a real component, right, a structure of misinformation that someone is giving as valid information, that's a lie. But that actually isn't a lie if you think that the information is correct, even as a human being. It's just misinformation. And so the AI has no emotional reaction to the data. It's just making up garbage.
Which is curious, because it's kind of like, how does it operate if it can do that? Because you'd think it would be based on the data that's in it, right?
Because there's lies in the data.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, it didn't seem like that would be possible if what I understood about ChatGPT was correct.
So it knows that if it's going to construct a citation, that it has to have X, Y, and Z component. And all it has to do is take those components and put them together. And thus it's a valid citation, but it's a lie. It's not a legitimate anything, because it doesn't go back and verify. Now they know. Now the programmers are finding out, oh shit, if we're going to cite something, we had better go back and verify. But it's not current enough. So as long as when it does go to cite something legal, and here's the rub, now you're not going to be able to use ChatGPT for legal matters, because the liability is so high that some dipshit's going to go and use ChatGPT as a source for parsing legal data.
Well, I think this is worse than that, because I get the sense that maybe not only was it used to assist, but it may have been used to generate the entire thing, and nobody checked anything.
Nobody
I don't
checked.
know.
Yeah. So let's see. Here's the article. It says ChatGPT has seen its popularity rise in recent months as optimism and skepticism about new generative AI programs soars. However, the tool is at the heart of a case to discipline a New York lawyer, Stephen Schwartz, a personal injury lawyer with Levidow, and Oberman. All right. Faces a sanctions hearing on June 8th after it was revealed that he used ChatGPT to write up an affidavit. Another attorney at the same law firm, Peter Loduca, is also facing sanctions, but in a court filing, he said did not do any of the research in the affidavit. The affidavit that used ChatGPT was for a lawsuit involving a man who alleged he was injured by serving cart aboard an Avianca flight and featured several made-up court decisions. I don't know how you can continue to be a practicing attorney.
Oh, he won't be. I don't even know how he did this as a practicing attorney, let alone continuing as one.
Well, I mean, you can do something and then decide that you're going to retire forcefully.
Oh, I see.
An involuntary retirement. 6 of the submitted cases appear to be bogus judicial decisions with bogus quotes and bogus internal citations. Wow. God. You could tell the cases were fake and were initially skeptical that a chatbot was used. On Thursday, Schwartz apologized to Castle, adding that he had never used the AI tool before and was unaware of the possibility that its content could be false. You know, if you would have watched ohmTown daily, you would have been told that.
Right, you would have been told that they can't even do travel planning for you, so why would you do your court case through that?
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it for a year and a half. For crying out loud. It's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit. Trust but verify. If it's general opinion, like, okay. So quantum computing, you could sit there and you can ask it about quantum computing and this is what it spit back for me. Quantum computing represents a massive leap forward in computational power, and it could revolutionize fields from cryptography to material science. Discuss what businesses are leading in this area. And it's because I had asked it, hey, what are a couple of topics that we could talk about? Not necessarily on ohmTown, but it was just a discussion thing to see what AI was capable of providing to people. Because I had been watching a couple of shows, I've been talking with people about AI, and they were like, it can help you with ideas if you're stuck. If you're a writer and you're stuck, then ask it some questions and it can stir the creative juices, and that's the limit. That right there is the limit. If you take it verbatim, then you're basically setting yourself up to run afoul of either continuity from one discussion point to another, because it has vastly different, it's almost like it has a split personality. One voice is like this, another voice is like that. It's because it's trained to be, stochastic, right? Like it's chunk, 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 chunk.
And it's like if you've ever read a paper or something from somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and they've copied and pasted from a bunch of locations, or like a group paper where multiple people wrote it and nobody normalized it.
And there you go. And nobody,
or whatever the term is, but yeah.
Nobody put it in the same voice. Yep. But you're not going to be able to do that with an AI either. It basically is a whole bunch of people doing a single term paper. So this person is going to be, nobody's going to trust this person's writing. They can swear up and down, but who would trust them?
Well, I want to know what happened with the client.
It doesn't say. I'm sure it might say in another article. So maybe we can follow up on this and see what happens, because this isn't over. This all shifted over to the sanctions of that attorney, because I don't know how they could have continued with the case.
They probably, I don't.
Mistrial. If it was
and
a trial.
they were the plaintiff too, right? They were trying to sue, so I don't know. They probably had another firm represent them. Like as a civil case, it looks like,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
or we think.
Wow. And if they lose it, then the ineffective counsel, this firm is going to be sued. And it better
Well,
settle and just walk away. Like, okay.
exactly. And then doesn't it make you wonder what else they've done on their other cases?
Well, it's like a cop being found out to be bad, you know?
Exactly.
Look back at the entire history of it. This is pretty interesting stuff. Okay, but let's move on. Whoa, what did I just do? Okay, yeah, let's move on. So this next article is over in the Late Night Geeks channel. Not sure why. But here's the title. Ford needs Tesla to help it beat Tesla. And I have some historical context for this. An anecdote, but not, because it actually happened. It's not, it's demonstrably provable. It's not just, hey, my uncle did this and therefore that, right? Here's the deal. So the title of this is Ford needs Tesla to help beat Tesla. Microsoft invested in Apple, and now Apple is crushing Microsoft in almost every other thing that they touch.
I didn't know Microsoft invested in Apple because I think of them as competitors.
Yeah, Apple actually almost went bankrupt. It almost imploded. Microsoft invested a great amount of money because they were ordered for anti-competitive practices back, I think like 1998, 1999, something like that. I can't even remember it so far back. I'm so old. But now, like the Zune comes out and it's wiped out. Mobile Windows devices come out, like the phone, wiped out. Tablets, they only persist at a bare minimum level of whatever. And it's the reason why even Microsoft tablets exist is because it's a full operating system within the Windows ecosystem created by a plethora of people, not a Microsoft tablet, right? Why? Because Apple is crushing the competition. The only reason why Android exists in multitudes is because it's a free operating system, except for the core. There's like a key fundamental stack that is still controlled by Google. But there's so many OEMs that are developing hardware and then slapping that software on, and that's why it persists. But Apple is dominating. When you go out and you ask somebody about a tablet computer, it's Apple. They don't sit there and go, oh, let's go buy a OnePlus. No.
In fact, I would say they even use the term iPad to refer to a tablet in many
Correct.
cases.
Yep. Even though they're Slate computers, I mean, I use one, I have one, I actually have two of them. But and a tablet computer and an iPad are fundamentally different devices. But when you even talk to anybody about a tablet computer, they're thinking iPad. So here's the thing. Ford needs Tesla to help it beat Tesla. It's because of the charging stations. So really, it doesn't need Tesla. It needs the Tesla charging infrastructure, which would have been done away with if the federal government would have invested more in the charging systems, promoting fast charging technology, encouraging, if not requiring, standardization around a particular charging methodology, promoting through grants, just like SpaceX was basically brought to fruition by federal grants, and Tesla by federal grants and many other things by fundamental research that's funded by federal grants. It's how you become a billionaire, folks. Deep pockets of federal government. Well, this is the same thing. Not federal grants, but by proxy, Ford is going to benefit because now Tesla superchargers are going to open up to Ford. So it says in a surprise Twitter Spaces meeting between Ford CEO Jim Farley and Tesla CEO Elon Musk on Thursday, Farley announced Ford is adopting Tesla's North American charging standard, an open version of Tesla's proprietary charging port. Quote, "We think it's a huge move for our industry and for all electric consumers," Farley said on the call. Now, I wonder how much money is changing hands in this.
Right. So Ford is basically benefiting from Tesla's previous grants.
Right. Their research and development and the deployment of charging stations. And without looking at history and the numbers, we don't know really what the full scope of that is. But, well, we'll see what the future holds for Tesla. But I think that it's going to start getting rougher. But having a charging system that's proprietary and not allowing anybody else to utilize it kind of leans into the idea that you are anti-competitive. And not only that, if you are federally funded, and they do get federal grants, you have to open up. And it really should be because it's federal money and everybody
Right.
should be benefiting from that federal grant.
Hey, I wonder if they're labeled as federal on Twitter.
Yeah, that's all. That's a funny one. Yeah. Umar Shakir over at TheVerge.com put the article together. So last year, Ford surprised F-150 Lightning truck owners with an accessory that could recharge stranded Teslas. Now it looks like Tesla is the one lending a hand to Ford. I don't know. It's a charging station. So, if you balkanize it where you're going to have this charging station for this vehicle, it's antithetical to switching to EVs. Why not just charge people for it, just like you charge for gas? Oh, that's right, because you don't want it to be a real cost. You want them to buy the EVs and not realize that there is a real cost to owning an EV. So they announced it, and I think it's coming in 2024. Is that it? I don't remember the date.
Yeah, I don't see a date in there.
Let me see if it's up here again. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't say. Yeah. I think it's coming in 2024 is when the deal is struck. So maybe sooner. Let's see if we can find it in here.
It is 2024, I see from another article.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's.
And then that's for the supercharger access, and then the charging port's in 2025.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think that it would be great to standardize around stuff. That's really the only problem is that as standards are going to change because there's more fundamental science that gets done where, we can make a more robust charging port and get to that point where you don't need to sit for 2 hours and quote unquote charge. But I think that fast swap battery technology is going to be the superior solution because you don't need a charging station. What you need is a gas station. And you go in, you swap out your batteries. You don't pay for batteries anymore. And if I could do it, I would. I would love to get everybody funded together, right? And start spinning up fast swap battery changing stations that act like a gas station. You pull in, they pull all of the batteries out, they put a new battery in, you drive away. But you
You
can't do
know,
that.
I was going to say that also benefits the aging gas station industry because all of those locations are going to be essentially,
Malls.
um, yeah, it just doesn't, I mean, so then they can be repurposed too. I mean, I've been thinking about it more from the EV side, but
Yeah. And for all of these gas stations that I can't, when you drive around, you see these old abandoned gas stations that uh, you could sit there and say, well, location, 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 but across the street is a Shell station that undercut the other person that was the small business, which in some states is illegal to undercut like that. Provide a loss leader so that you can drive out the competition. That's actually illegal in some states. Well, converting them into a battery swapping station basically is digging up the old gas tanks that are underground. Now you have the pit. All you have to do is fill it up with cement blocks so that you can put the infrastructure in for all of the batteries, and then you start the battery swapping process. But the thing about it is the batteries, right? So they're $10,000 to $15,000, $5,000 for smaller ones, right? But the developers of today's EVs aren't thinking in terms of the fast swap technology. It's a big sled. They're all stuck in there. It takes a huge amount of time to get to the batteries so that you can test them. And you have to pay for them. And then in 10 years, you're going to have to replace them. Well, it's somebody else's problem. Don't worry about it. Well, with fast swap, then you don't have to pay for the battery anymore. You pay when you go in to swap out your battery. Oh, okay, well, it costs $20 to swap my batteries out or my car's gas out X amount of time. Except that my car, I could charge it and not swap out the battery. If I have a charger at home, I could still charge it. But then when I'm ready, oh, look, I've driven 350 miles. My battery's almost dead. Let me pull into a fast swap station, pay the $20. So now you got the best of both worlds. You can swap the batteries out, or you can charge at home if you have a charging station. You can't fill your car up at home with gasoline. So you get the best of both worlds.
right. And we did see the other article about, what was it? Go-karts maybe
Yeah.
that we're starting to use this. So that's a good sign.
And there's some prototype cars that have fast swap stuff, and there's a fast swap demonstration station out there as well. We talked about that here in ohmTown as well. Before I get too far along, I have not put that article or this article in the chat. And there you go. So let's go on to the next article. We will end up talking about EVs in the future. It's part of, although this article right now is sitting in Late Night Geeks, the four-wheel tech is really where it should have been, but there must have been something that caused the article to end up in Late Night Geeks. So let's move on to the next article, if you don't mind. So this article is really interesting because it says a pizza company is letting customers buy now and pay when they're dead. So I guess it's an inverse mortgage. This is in the ohmTown Daily channel as well.
I hope the pizza is not causing the death.
Oh, this is really interesting. They're really leaning into it. Okay, I'm not even going to read the snippet. I'm going to go straight over to the article because you're going to go, what? So Chris Panella, or Panea, is the author of this. The pizza looks good. Is it a Getty?
It does.
It's a Getty image. Damn it. That's a good looking pizza. At least to me. Anyways, Chris Panella is the author over at businessinsider.com, and Hell Pizza says the Afterlife pay system will initially run as a trial for 666 people. The pizza company is letting customers buy now and pay after they're dead. While the marketing stunt is lighthearted, it's also a legally binding agreement.
Okay. Is it coming out of somebody's estate? Like, I'm not getting the mechanics of this.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So, how are they making this a reality? Because what if I die bankrupt? You're not getting anything.
Exactly. And what if I die, I don't know, 50 years after I have the pizza?
Yeah, apparently it doesn't matter. You're signing it. Death is an escape from everything except, well, capitalism, it seems, according to the author. The New Zealand Pizza Company has unveiled a new buy now, pay later, and pay you will system that lets customers wait to pay for their order until after they're dead. Hell Pizza unveiled the Afterlife Pay plan on Thursday, according to News Hub. It's a selective program that only allows 666 Kiwis and 666 Australians to participate. I want to move to New Zealand just for this.
I agree.
This is awesome.
Really neat.
Hell Pizza CEO Ben Cumming told News Hub the lighthearted marketing stunt was inspired by current buy now, pay later programs affecting Kiwis. So you can have your pizza and eat it too.
Who came up with this idea? This is way beyond
It has to be the
like
CEO.
the layaway plan or whatever.
Talk about long con layaway, though. Layaway, as in, you're dead in a casket.
Right. Yeah.
I like it. According to Hell's Menu, there's a variety of original gourmet and healthy pizzas available for customers. There's plenty of sides and salads offered, meaning afterlife pay. Users can do some real damage to their life savings, but that's for them to worry about long after they're 6 feet under. There's nothing more to this article, by the way. But this is awesome.
This is really great.
Yeah.
This might be one of the best articles we've featured in ohmTown.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a Hell's Pizza website, but if there is, y'all can go check it out and show them that you're interested in this. Maybe
yes, there is. It's hellpizza.au.
Oh, God. Come on. Global franchise the hell out of this. Oh, get it? Franchise the hell out of this. This would be awesome.
And it even says buy now, pay much later on the main page.
But I just know that wingnuts, complete idiots, would totally boycott this thing totally loud and make death threats and bomb threats and all of this stuff because it's Hell's Pizza. It
says Wikipedia all over their website instead of Wikipedia.
That's nice.
That's funny.
This is awesome. I mean, obviously it's satirical. Even if they're leaning into it, even if they believe in all of this, then to me, this is marketing. This is attention grabbing. This isn't. Anyway, I'll just leave it alone. This is funny as hell. I love this. This is just a crack up.
It is funny as hell.
Yeah. I like this. Anyway, okay. So let's move on to the next article. This next article is also food related. ohmTown Daily is where it's stored, but it's coming from Business Insider like the last one. 2 Wendy's Superfans had red dye makeovers to get free chicken nuggets for a year. That's right. 2 Superfans, Wendy's Superfans, won a year's supply of chicken nuggets after dyeing their hair red. The fast food chain ran the promotion to coincide with World Redhead Day Friday. The fans were entitled to a free portion of 4-piece chicken nuggets every week. So they only get a 4-piece of chicken nuggets once a week for a year. To damage your hair.
Right, I know. I'm like, there's still a lot of meals that aren't covered.
Please have pictures.
Oh, wow.
One of the okay, if you're listening to this via the podcast, one of the winners is bald with a beard and mustache that's tied in pigtails. The beard is tied in pigtails. Uh,
I guess to match the Wendy's
yeah,
theme, because the
yeah,
woman has large blue bows with
yeah.
pigtails, but the man has small blue bows in his beard, I guess.
Yeah. So Geode Man is the author over at BusinessInsider.com. The picture is just epic. Yeah, I like that. So, I guess no natural redheads applied for the gig. So the winners dyed their hair. I don't know if it was exclusive to dyeing your hair, but the fans are now entitled to a free portion of four-piece chicken nuggets for or once a week. Let's see if there's anything else. Natalie McMillan and Chris Watts, no relation. It was too good an opportunity to pass up. McMillan dyed her hair while Watts dyed his beard to mark World Redhead Day on Friday, May 26th. As they underwent their makeovers, other redheads queued outside of a Wendy's store in Camden to get their hands on their own portion of free chicken nuggets with their orders. It's cute marketing. Look at that.
That's the most redheads in one location, except for the redhead conference.
Yeah, where is that? Ireland,
I think
right?
it's in Scotland, maybe.
Scotland? I'm not sure. So it doesn't say anything else, really. Fast food chain is rolling out changes to some of its restaurants, including automating its drive-through services by installing a chat bot at its stores in Columbus, Ohio. We talked about that here in
Oh, that's
ohmTown as
right.
well. That they're installing a chat bot to take your orders as you drive through. So
Well,
I'm telling
and
you.
also the underground tunnels.
Oh, right, and the underground tunnel one that I said is a nightmare in the making. So, it says that a representative previously told Insider that it'll unveil tunnels at a store in the second half of the year. Okay, good luck with that.
Hope the lids are down tight on any of the drinks.
Yeah, if that thing goes real fast, it'll just be empty, right? All of the fries are going to be coated in Dr. Pepper, which I can't drink Dr. Pepper. Okay, let's move on to the next article. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Egypt unveils recently discovered ancient workshops and tombs in Saqqara necropolis. Egyptian antiquities authorities have unveiled ancient workshops and tombs that they say were discovered recently at a pharaonic necropolis just outside the capital of Cairo. It's an AP article from ABC News, and you can get there by going to abcnews.go.com. I don't know why they did. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I won't question why. Although I just did. Anyway, the spaces were found in the sprawling necropolis of Saqqara, which is a part of Egypt's ancient capital of Memphis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, which is just a badass name, said the workshops had been used to mummify humans and sacred animals, and they date back to the 30th Pharaonic dynasty, which is 380 BC to 343 BC, and the Ptolemaic period 305 BC to 30 BC, so it's getting more and more modern. Inside the workshops, archaeologists found clay pots and other items apparently used for mummification, as well as ritual vessels. All of this is pretty spectacular. This was one of my first loves. I would have loved to go to Egypt and be Indiana Jones. Didn't quite work out because I didn't want to dig up dead bodies. I just wanted the adventure. Which apparently...
That is a bit of an impediment, though, to archaeology.
Yeah. But since then, they've enhanced the ability to read hieroglyphics, and there's like dialects and stuff like that. Even in the writing, it's pretty spectacular. And it says here, in recent years, Egypt's government has heavily promoted new archaeological finds to international media and diplomats in hopes that such discoveries will help attract more tourists to the country to revive an industry that suffered from political turmoil following the 2011 uprising. So, yeah, it's still taking a beating. A lot of the West, I think, is still kind of sus about it all. And, you know, really a lot of the West is just not interested in, you know, kings. and unless it's in fantastical writing or something like John Wick, we don't want real life John Wick kind of shit going on. So at any rate, that this is always fascinating. I would love to go there someday, but I think I'm too much of a smartass, and I'll get my ass kicked a lot there.
You might say something to offend the Office of Antiquities or or somebody like that.
Yeah. Plus, I have different views. So I'll probably never end up in Egypt. But anyway, pretty cool. If you are interested in this kind of stuff, please feel free to follow the link. Yeah, I didn't throw that. Man, I'm like 2 articles behind perpetually. I'll throw the links into the chat so that you can follow it, and we can keep on hustling through the news. We got 3 more articles, including this one. The first 1,000 Diablo 4 players to hardcore level 100 get their name on a statue. That won't be me. The first 1,000 people to reach level 100 in Diablo 4 and then tweet to Diablo with, or at Diablo. And it's not... There's 2 reasons why it's not going to be me. I'll be playing this, but I'm not going to tweet anything, and I won't be so hardcore about it that I'm going to get to 100 before 1,000 other people. Not unless there's only 999 people playing the game and then me. Anyway.
But you'd still have to tweet at the end of it.
Yeah, which I'm priced out. So, Diablo 4 is soon dropping, and if you make it to 100 and you're one of the 1,000, you'll get immortalized on a statue of Lilith. That's
so
hot.
Will you actually stay in the game? I mean, it's not just a temporary thing?
No, I think this is a real statue. I think this is a real world statue. So, yeah. Pardon me. I don't know how loud those coughs are, but the meter is screaming at me. There are going to be so many salty highlights of people losing a hardcore character while trying for this challenge, which will stay open until September or 1,000 people claim it. By the way, hardcore means that if you die, your character dies. It's wiped out. It's gone bye-bye. You can switch to a different mode, but there's a catch. Jonathan Bolding over at PC Gamer put the article together. The deck says, what more could a person want? It says a lot, actually. Okay, so think you can cheat death, reach level 100 on hardcore mode, and tweet tweet hashtag Diablo4Hardcore with proof that you have to have your username immortalized on a statue of Lilith. Offers limited to the first 1,000. Restrictions apply. Where will the statue be? What will they do with the statue? These are not important questions to the contest. The contest does not care. The contest knows that you will sacrifice and scrimp and fight like a trapped rat to get your name on that statue. Actually, when I put it that way, this contest sounds kind of fun. One more. I better hurry up and finish the show. I'm coughing quite a bit.
So, did you notice that if somebody has an inappropriate username, that will not be on the statue?
Yeah, they'll probably have to create some other username for it. Which is pretty typical. You can't, I don't know. Actually, I think if you hashtag, if you tweet and say that you did and you have an inappropriate username, they'll probably make you change your freaking username. Like, anyway. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it's like yelling, hey, pick me. And then when they pick you, they go, we are picking you to ban you. Thanks for standing up. Anyway, it says this is, of course, the monstrous marketing push leading to the release of Diablo 4. For example, demoness Lilith is opening up a chocolate shop in London where you can eat chocolate human skulls for whatever reason. There's also the horrific demon meat shake that the PC Gamer staff made George try. They didn't actually make him try it. He volunteers for this stuff. So this is a PC Gamer article. So follow this link and you can read more about this over at PC Gamer, which is an awesome site. Okay, let's go on to the next article. I don't know if I'm actually doing the transitions. This next article is in the Smack Talk channel. Twitter quits EU's voluntary disinformation code of practice, which is just another coffin nail in the idea that there's any truth found in Twitter. It's all opinion and bullshit. Twitter, which could amount to bullshit. Twitter has decided to withdraw from an agreement with the European Union to cut down misinformation on social networks, but it will soon have to face the same legal ramifications as everyone else anyway, if you want to do business in the EU. Malcolm Owen over at appleinsider.com put the article together, and it says in 2018, Twitter joined a list of tech companies, social media services, and other organizations to abide by a voluntary code of practice on disinformation. On Friday, Twitter decided it no longer wanted to be subject to that code. I guess it's like bowing out of a nuclear arms treaty.
Right. I mean, it seems like there's only one reason you would bow out of that.
Because you don't care that there's disinformation being published on your service.
Or you may even be intentionally engaging in that.
What?
I didn't say they were. I said they might be.
What? No. Never. They would never. Never. Come on. Nothing. If there is a scale of truthiness, Twitter is way down the line.
I don't know if it's good to be up or down that scale. Because, right?
Yeah. I don't think you don't even want to be questioned as to the level of your truthiness.
You don't even want to be on the scale, right? Maybe.
I suppose, because the truth is there. If I guess you end up on truthiness, it's even the 99% is still questionable. So a tweet by Terry Breton, the EU Internal Market Commissioner first spotted by TechCrunch, revealed that EU had left and wasn't going to abide by the code. It says that EU had left? What?
That doesn't
I'm not reading
seem
that
to
right,
track.
am I? Huh,
Right, it's
okay,
Twitter
whatever.
had left.
Yeah, Twitter leaves EU voluntary code of practice against disinformation. That's the right statement. That's the tweet. That article just kind of botched that. Anyway, the digital services.
Truthiness in there.
Yeah, there's some misinformation. The Digital Service Act is a legislative package that restricts how large tech firms operate. This includes considerable rules on online content and moderation, with more responsibility placed on platforms to police and deal with illegal content and misinformation. Yeah, well, when you cut your already produced business that all it needs really is fine-tuning, maintenance, and maybe testing of new features. And you cut out all of the operational status of so many other aspects of your business so that you can save money because you're basically digging a massive hole. Bowing out of something that requires you to do due diligence makes economic sense, but really puts another coffin nail in your business. But it's
Well, and also if you fired all the people that perform those compliance functions.
Yeah, exactly. This just, to me, it's pushing further down the line that this is just embracing the wingnut culture of bullshit, misinformation, lies, fraud, etc. Whatever you want to call it, it's all bullshit. And I just wish that it would have been fine if it wasn't for it being purchased. So it was a sustainable business model. And now it's just wingnut central. So that's the only way it could get a sustainable amount, like the whole culture, the wingnut culture could get a sustainable amount of people, is to literally buy the property out from under everybody. And this is what you have, the hot dumpster fire mess that is Twitter. So I guess we won't get Twitter as a sponsor. Oh, damn. Okay, let's move on. This is the last article for today. This is something that I kind of steady state make comments about. This is in the Marble channel. Biodegradable plastic in clothing doesn't break down nearly as quickly as hoped, according to new research. Plastic pollution has emerged as one of the most pressing environmental challenges of our time. Over 100 million tons of plastic enters the environment each year, with more than 10 million tons ending up in our oceans. These plastics break down into harmful microplastic particles so small that they can be consumed by wildlife and us. I don't know why they limited that statement to wildlife. We're finding it inside humans on the regular.
Exactly. And I'm assuming we're getting it through the air, but maybe through food sources.
Everything. It's entirely environmental. Yes. That is what the research is showing. It's being consumed by us from food, through the air, through water. You can dig a hole in the ground, and eventually in that you will find microplastics pretty much everywhere because it's everywhere now. Karen Roberts, Faye Calciro, I guess, and Muhammad Ali from The Conversation put this article together over at phys.org. It says we all recognize discarded bottles and bags as plastic waste, but the synthetic fibers that are woven into clothing, polyester, nylon, acrylic, and others are equally problematic. Every year, more than 60 million tons of plastic fabric is produced, a considerable amount of which ultimately finds its way into a landfill, or apparently out in the desert.
Oh yes, the Atacama Desert in Chile.
Yeah. One promising approach to tackle this crisis is the use of biodegradable plastics. These plastics are designed to break down naturally into gases and water, which are then released back into the environment without causing long-lasting damage. But the reality of biodegradable plastic, or bioplastic, falls short of meeting our expectations, according to the article. So new research led by the Scripps Institute of Oceanography in San Diego, California, has found that a popular bioplastic material called polylactic acid does not break down in the environment nearly as quickly as hoped. I have a feeling that it's all because it needs oxygen, and if it's in the soil, it doesn't get enough surface contact with air to break down. But let's see if that's what it says. The plastic pollution that stems from clothing is a particularly tricky area. Clothes are often not recycled or even recyclable, and they release tiny plastic fibers into the environment through gradual wear and tear. This is the microplastics that we're talking about. So clothing fibers can reach our oceans via multiple pathways. Clothes that are washed into the sea, for example, will be broken up physically by wave action and friction with sand particles. This process leads to the release of fibers as the garment frays. So let's see. No matter what we do, clothing fibers will inevitably find their way into the environment. So it is sensible to give serious consideration to what happens to these fibers once they're released. So what does it matter? The longevity of polylactic acid fibers in the marine environment is another concern. The longer these fibers remain in the environment, the more likely they'll be eaten by marine organisms. And then there's bioaccumulation, where microplastics and their associated chemicals accumulate across the marine food web, is then likely to occur. Telling you, we need to switch to, and I can't say that I'm not, I guess I'm kind of hypocritical because, let me do something. Because while I am trying to move away from plastic, my world is filled with it, just utterly encompassing my existence. Why? Because glass can't replace everything, and I live in a high-tech sea. I can't step away and be all natural all the time, all cotton material isn't always available. All natural fiber clothing doesn't really exist, except for the most expensive clothing that you can possibly find. And when it's cheap, it's so cheap that a sneeze and, it falls apart.
And that can be wasteful in itself, because part of the problem is we live in a disposable society and people are buying things over and over again, which is part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, you can't become a billionaire by people owning stuff that survives forever. So anyway, the plastic material has to meet specific criteria and produce compost of a minimum standard. That is the objective of bioplastic, but it doesn't break down as fast as once thought. So they don't really give too much in terms of that time frame. It doesn't say, it seems. But there's so much of it that's being released into the wild that we're seeing it in the research. We're seeing it when we're doing an analysis. We'll take a biopsy, and I say we, but it's because scientists are doing this fundamental research. Typically in academia, they're doing a biopsy and they're finding microplastic in the biopsy, even of human beings. So I am a proponent of switching to glass as much as possible, or metal. It's infinitely recyclable except for whatever might get vaporized in the process. Very minimal. And doesn't give off toxic gases in the process like plastic does. Particularly the more exotic plastics that exist.
Well, I think also the fact that there's starting to be so much research in this area, while it's good so we can learn about it and take action to correct course, I think that's a sign of how prevalent it is and how long it's been there, because I think there's often a lag in the research compared to whatever's happening. And so that makes me think we've had this problem for decades, and it's become so well known that we're starting to see more research interest in it.
Yeah, it's just ramped up to the point where it's now visible, even to fundamental science. It's visible. I wonder if this is going to be like the next DDT kind of thing, where the casualty is the actual health of human beings and animals around us, and thus, special note is taken. This plastic in general, if science doesn't shift to something that makes it so that it breaks down entirely and is innocuous to human beings, microplastic doesn't break down in the human body unless it breaks down into something toxic to the human body and to animals. But if it's found that it's actually causing a shortening of life, anybody that says that we should stay with plastic in its current incarnation of plastics is a complete psychopath. They should not be listened to, regardless of what it is. I mean, just imagine somebody saying it's okay to eat lead because it bonds with this or does that, and you can eat enough and be okay, or something stupid like that, right? We know that it did bad things, and thus we got rid of it from our environment as much as humanly possible. That could be what this is.
Yeah. Well, and this sounds more problematic than some of those things because it's everywhere. The other things were really severe and caused a lot of problems, probably deaths in some instances, and illness, etc., but they weren't where everybody was. Whereas I feel like microplastics are affecting probably every animal and every human.
Well, let me pull you back from that statement though, because we got rid of leaded gas. We got rid
That's
of
true.
leaded paint. It was pervasive. I think that that's actually part of I joke, I blame lead paint and lead gas for the sociopathy that I see rising to the surface of society. And it's because during the era that the people that are in control now were raised, they were raised in leaded gas and lead paint. So, and it has been shown that lead paint and leaded gas, the lead in it, lead in general, leads to sociopathic behavior. And that's research papers that are out there as well. I'd have to find them to pull it up. But you can go to scholar.google.com and do a search for lead and sociopathy, and you'll find that there is correlation. But when you have 500 papers that correlate it, then you can pretty much count on causation. If you do a search for knives and stab wounds, yeah, it's correlated, but they're also the cause of stab wounds. You might want to put all the dots together.
What?
Now it's your turn.
By the way, on the lead piece, I was thinking more about like localized water contamination or something. I was not even thinking about like leaded gas and lead paint. I do agree that's totally prevalent.
Yeah, there's lead.
Across
There's
the
lead
board.
pipes. There's lead pipes that are coated now with historical debris, right? Historical deposits that prevented it from leaching into the water supply. And then they switched water supplies, and it ate away and ended up leaching lead into the water supply again. So society has a comeuppance, I think, in the form of microplastics. And we just don't know. We don't know it yet.
Well, I also hope somebody's researching technology to, and I know it's probably impossible to either filter out or break down the existing microplastics, because as much as we need to get away from plastic, we need to do something about the plastic that's already out there, microplastic that's out there.
Yep. There was a plant, there was an incinerator that was actually blowing microplastics out into the atmosphere. I need to find that article. I think it's in ohmTown. But it was just a one-off where I was like, Wait, did I really read that? But I'll find it, and maybe we can do maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow is Sunday. It's usually a slow news day. Maybe we can do a day in the history of ohmTown, kind of a article reach back into history of things that might have been interesting that we can talk about. That actually might be the Sunday fun day kind of thing, you know? And maybe we can do a news. Maybe we can start talking about this and get this going. I think Sunday might be a great news, did you know kind of a thing, where people can guess, answer questions, and turn it into a game show, basically, about the news.
Kind of like a news trivia quiz.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, let's see if we can put something together. I don't know, with the writer's strike, I'm not working, so just kidding. I'm not in the
You're not a member of
SAG.
I forgot that SAG, yeah.
Or the
other one starts with a W, Writers Guild of America, I think.
Yeah, WGA, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, that's it for today. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the one, the only, the AI that sometimes does not keep me sane. But that's okay. The signal was stable. It's excellent now. It didn't show as unstable. So I guess you're doing a great job.
Well, thanks, even though I don't really control that, but I appreciate it. Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. We might be doing something a little different for Sunday, like Mayor Watt was saying. You'll just have to tune in and find out.
There you go. Hey, that's the secret sauce there. You'll just have to tune in to find out what fun and games are up in the world of ohmTown. See you tomorrow, folks. Come hang out and chat. Don't lurk either. Like, say hi. Go ahead, say hi. Start right now. Okay, bye. I'm going to do that again simply because I can. It didn't broadcast. It played the intro. Okay. See you tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.